Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So, this is in response to the demonic and dark looking eyes while the narcissist rages. So, this person said that they don't believe it's fear, it's actually uncontrollable anger or jealousy. He they continue on saying rage is an anger that somebody doesn't control. And that's true. It's almost like they're overpowered and they lose control. Their mind is going so much that it even changes the dilation of their pupils. So they want control over their victims. That's what our narcissist does. They are unconscious humans who lost their connection to the light and became dark souls. So during that demonic looking dark eyes, it feels that something is going on. So they do present a darkness to them. It can feel very scary. And this is their reply. It says, the devil takes them young. Demons get passed down through the bloodline. So I'd like to know your comments on this. Do you feel it's an actual demon, or do you think it's something internal within them, that it's just scientifically proven, or do you think it's something in the afterlife? And this should be a pretty interesting video because I've had some experiences that we'll talk about uh unexplainable happenings, and this person has too, so we'll get into it. It says trauma gets passed down from generation to generation, and it says the demons get passed through the bloodline. So this can be up for debate, but it is kind of like a generational curse because the mental illness in the mother or father gets passed down. Some scientists think there's some possible genetic link, but through the treatment of this new child, it causes damage. It causes actual brain damage, causes that not to connect with things. They're not raised the right way. They don't know how to act, and they get stuck in that. And this person says they've had experienced some supernatural, frightening things, which they couldn't believe. Continues on saying, I come from a long line of mentally ill narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, alcoholic fathers, and uncles who prey on their own family. And the closer you are to someone who has mental illness, the more damage that's going to be done. The women were worse because they looked away while their own daughters were being sexually abused. So they're sometimes afraid of losing their husband or stirring up emotions or being called a liar, that they don't protect their own children, or sometimes they'll even give up the children. And three of us grown women of those sick women almost died. Sometimes the abuse that people go through is horrendous. One got addicted to meth, and my cousin almost drank herself to death. I was left for dead and almost starved to death and was ate alive by parasites. So I don't know if that's an actual health statement that parasites were uh, ingested and or into wounds or something like that, or um, but being starved to death, I believe that they're saying that it, it was actual physical parasites, because sometimes we use that as people being parasites, stealing our emotions and stuff. So the demons will break families apart and turn everyone against each other. And that is exactly what a lot of narcissistic people, people with other types of mental illnesses, is uh, the manipulation that they do, that they're so good at it that people turn away the abused because they believe the abuser instead of the person who's being abused. They use those flying monkeys, they isolate people, and it all continues the cycle of abuse. The demons will break apart the families, tear them apart. I felt it when I went home, and it was a force that didn't want me there. Sometimes when you go back uh, into the home, if you've been abused, you can feel that negative energy. You can feel negative energy at other people's homes. Have you guys ever experienced that with just walking in, something just doesn't feel right? Um, and I have been praying for years to understand what happened to my family. I went to the logical psychological route for 25 years. That doesn't explain the white light that entered my room and all the strange things that happened. So I had mentioned too that I used to have a dance studio, tanning salon, and gift shop, and above it there's two different apartments. And it used to be a doctor's office. So this one room that I changed into my room had no windows. The door was closed, lights were off, and I had this, it was almost like a Venetian blind thing where it opened up this bright light, was like a window size type thing. Couldn't have come from anywhere. And I was sleeping or half asleep, and I opened my eyes to see it, and all of a sudden the shutters closed and it was gone. It's dark. Never saw it again. So I have experienced things like that. I don't do drugs, drink, things like that. The last 2 years I've had some wine, but at that time, uh, no drugs, no even medications, anything like that. And I've seen that. And this person has too. Comment below if you've ever seen some bright light. And things are shifting in the world. And I see that as a teacher. I also see it as just a person. The news, the comments on Facebook, all the sadness, all the mental illness. Some people are aware of what they're going through and they post it, but you also see all the different types of people abusing each other and not knowing how to deal with each other. People need to wake up and go within. The world is not going to change until we start breaking old patterns and learn to vibrate higher. Now, I talked about this, how this whole vibration thing, I didn't really understand it, but we have to up our vibe. That's going to draw people to us when we're down. We kind of bring people down, and we need to heal from this abuse that we went through. And we're going to start to feel it within, and it's going to radiate out. Every little everything affects other people. So if I came and said hi to you, and you're like, yeah, hi, it's kind of a downer. Like, I kind of want you to be excited to see me. So everybody interacts with each other, and that's going to affect me. It's going to bring me down a little bit, and then when I'm down a little bit, I might bring somebody else down a little bit. And if we can all raise each other's energies, it's like a ball in motion. It's helpful. And this world is so negative that it brings us down, and we're fighting to be happy within ourselves. When we're doing something, someone's going to say something that it's almost like a jealousy that we're not allowed to be happy. Not everybody does it, but it does happen. So forgive and let your anger go, which is not easy. And it says when you came from hell. So living in a abusive relationship, household, can have lifelong effects and a lifelong struggle to break yourself free. It is a generational curse unless you break it. But I had mentioned, some of the supernatural things that I've gone through. I've done videos on that. I'm not proud that I did it, but I used a Ouija board before, and that kind of confirmed for me that there's a God out there. Not that the Ouija board was godlike, it was the exact opposite. It was an experience that got real scary. And like I had certain things on my thighs that just felt creepy. I had a mother of a friend's friend who never met me, was able to know all these secrets and names and things. It's like, I've never met, like, she didn't know anything about me. Went to a whole different school and never met the mother. It was an unexpected thing for me to stop by. So she didn't know anything about me. And I had mentioned how when I was upstairs, I forgot that I was cooking spaghetti, and the Ouija board like reminded me of this stuff. It was just like mind blowing, all the different things and the topics that were brought up. And sometimes people think it's like your subconscious I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. Usually you're supposed to have 2 people doing it. That lady did it by herself. She spent hours, just that's all she did, like, all day long, but I had this one chill, and I didn't move or anything, but when she did it, it says, "See, I can touch you, I can feel you." And she didn't know, and it was just at that one moment, it just stopped. It was creepy. And is there something out there? Does it take over people? There are evil people. They talk about angels and fallen angels, and some religions think uh, there's what purgatory, and where does the soul go? When does the soul begin? What motivates the soul? Because this is my hard thought is when we sleep, our soul is still in us, but we're not aware of it. And you hear all the nurses' stories of people looking into certain corners, certain directions right before they die. Some people holding on till a loved one gets there. And they talk about astral projection. Some people claim that they've done that, where you have like a cord or something that allows your soul to travel, and then you can bring yourself back. Have you guys ever dealt with astral projection, anything like that? Are there lost souls out there? Are there demons out there that are overtaking people? Or is it just evil nature of some people? I talk about in the brain scans with the different broken connections between the neurons and the neurotransmitters, where they're just not communicating the feelings that are necessary to have empathy for somebody. And we need to have flexibility to be able to compromise without compromise or understanding somebody else's needs or ways to work around it. I just watched this video on this one guy had plans with his wife to go out to dinner, and she was adamant about going, and there's this big sports match coming up, and he really wanted to go, just found out about it, and it was a top match of that year. Plus it hadn't been years upon years that this team even made it to this level of achievement, and he really wanted to go. So he was flexible, telling his wife that, you know, I'd prefer to go to the sports match. I'll take you out to dinner any other day of the year. But she was adamant about, no, you made a promise. And this is where it gets tricky, because narcissists break all their, not all, but a lot of their promises to us. And there's things that we count on too. And, the video I saw was that, that the wife should have allowed the male to go to the sports match. So let me know what you guys think, because there comes a point in time where, we have to be flexible. We can't control somebody else. And there comes a time though where we get neglected so much that it's tough, because you want to say, no, you promised this to me. And there were a lot of comments where it was, leave her. It's like a once in a lifetime sports match, and that he should have been allowed to go, basically no questions asked. And I'd like to know how you guys feel on that, because she showed no flexibility. And a lot of times we just know the narcissist isn't going to pick us. And there comes a time when, maybe a once in a lifetime type thing, we got to be flexible. But there's times too that, we're like, we got to work on this marriage, or, What's more important, the sports match, or, there's times you can work around it. If he was going to take her out to dinner the next day, but a lot of times narcissists don't offer, I'll make it up to you. It's just sorry about your luck. And that's when it's hard. Because then you start getting desperate. And that's when toxicity comes in. It'd be nice if we both saw each other's points of view and the sacrifices were somewhat equal. But with a narcissist, it's not equal. They'll cancel, they'll get distracted, they'll prioritize things over and over again. And he could have invited her to go along, things like that. So it's hard making a normal relationship work, but when it's with a narcissist, it's extremely difficult because it's a no-win situation. You're going to end up alone. They've already isolated you from your friends or your family members. They've turned people against you. They have a double standard where if you end up going out with your friends, they're going to get jealous, they're going to get upset. In the beginning, it doesn't seem that way, but later on, as the relationship progresses, they act on their needs, but we're not allowed to act on ours. And it gets really frustrating because there's no balance. But as far as demons controlling the narcissist, there's some biblical references to things like that. I had this one where I had a really creepy feeling. It was like a sleep paralysis, and it felt like my soul was being pulled out from me. And it was so bad that I'm religious. I don't know if you guys are, but this is what I did, is I was trying to form in my head, Jesus, come to me. And I struggled, and I wanted to shout it out. I couldn't move. I struggled getting my brain to work. It was the oddest thing that I've ever been through, and the creepiest. I had this like dark, I don't even know, like Grim Reaper-y kind of thing. Just pulling my soul. The only other time, well, I had another where I was in a car accident and I felt my soul leaving me. I passed out, hit my head, and I was sprawled out. And that was another time I screamed to God, and I didn't die because I screamed something about, God, I don't like this. Like, Father God, I don't like this. And I just kept thinking, my mom doesn't need to come home see me. It looked like a suicide the way I was lying. It wasn't. I hit my head and passed out, but I felt my soul. I don't know if you guys have ever felt your soul other than who you are, but where does the soul go? And can it be overtaken? Or, with schizophrenia, that's an interesting mental illness, because they hear voices. What are those voices? Where do those voices come from? The voices aren't always like when we think in our brain. I either hear my own voice in a sense, but it's not a male voice. It's either like a nondescript type thought, or I hear myself. I don't hear anybody else. But schizophrenics will hear different thoughts that or words telling them to do these things that they wouldn't necessarily do. And what causes that? Where does that come from? So I'd like to help me out with a discussion, because there's a lot of debate on it, but there are some supernatural things that make you wonder. Because there's been some super evil people out there. Is that just a spoiled brat to become a serial murderer? Or, how can people damage or kill other people so coldly? It's kind of fascinating and sad at the same time. So I just thought it was an interesting take the way the person presented that comment. I love topic requests, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good night.